let's take of this. Let's take a look at the idol getting got, because I said we would take a look at it.
An incident that has left an entire country in a state of absolute shock. On the 11th of March 2025, a 22-year-old influencer by the name of Mogami was stabbed live on stream in broad daylight Japan. It's already quite rare to find a murder in this country, but what's even more rare is a violent crime of this nature, where the victim gets stabbed over 30 times. So it's no wonder that people weren't just shocked, they were visibly confused. Everyone's asking themselves, how did this happen? What led this person to commit such a violent act? But the publications are asking themselves the same questions, with many Western ones like the New York Times not having any of the important details when reporting on it, making this out to be yet another parasocial case, with some even saying that it's another case of misogyny, but it's not that simple. In fact, this incident goes back years. She knew the man and had a hand in making him gradually lose his mind up until this point. It doesn't get crazier than this, and we're going to talk about everything from the beginning, so let's do this. So Airi Sato was a 22-year-old live streamer who went by the name Mogami online. The website she used to stream was whowatch.tv. Japanese people typically call it Fuwatch. She was very active on there and was one of its top performers. Before passing away, she had reached around 2,600 followers, which is apparently really big for this website. Her main area of expertise was just chatting streams, talking to her chat and interacting with them. Sometimes she'd do these creative challenges, going outdoors or talking to strangers, but in a nutshell, for her, it was all about her community. And speaking of community, this is where Kenichi Takano comes in, a 42-year-old man who had found her stream and really liked her personality. He had found her in December of 2021 and very quickly started to donate money to show his support. At his peak, he was donating over 100,000 yen a month. That is not a small amount of money today, being $674, but back then, when the yen was stronger, it was closer to $1,000 per month. This quickly caught Ai's attention because at the time, she wasn't a full-time streamer yet, she was still working at a restaurant. After having donated over 400,000 yen to her in the first few months of 2022, Ai decided to reach out to Takano directly and message him on the Line app. This is when they would first get in touch. For both of them, this was the beginning of the end. This is when their problematic relationship would start to take place. And now we have access to these conversations because they leaked after the incident. On September 2022, she would start to ask him to lend her money directly, not through tipping on the stream, directly to her bank account. One of the first examples of this was her saying that she forgot her wallet at her job and that she's really strapped for cash, saying that she'll pay him back as soon as the next day or the day after. She also specified, I want the money transferred to the cash card I have at home, preferably right now. This was at 7 p.m. on September 8th, 2022. Within a minute, Takano responded, can I just transfer it now? Asking how much do you need? And her saying that she needs a few tens of thousands of yen.
What
this was only the beginning. And guess what? Even though she said that she was going to repay him the day after or the day after that, she didn't. She only kept asking for more. Not even 6 days after saying that she had lost her wallet and needed a few thousands to last her for the next day, she went ahead and asked for another 20,000 yen. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. He said he couldn't do it with his card, and then she was like, well, what about a direct transfer from your bank account then?
And
Takano would always find a way.
Gold digger,
she would do this
man.
almost every week for a while, right? Here asking for 50,000 yen.
Jesus!
He would always keep going
She
up,
just
and
keeps going,
get
dude.
crazier. Like, for example, this is a bad translation, but this is her pretty much saying that her sister's pregnant and she can't take care of the baby, so she needs money to help her. And still, Takano would send her money. And around more than a month after starting to ask him for money, not only did she keep insisting, things started to get very disturbing. Takano would send Ai a message saying, I'm worried, and this was in relation to his financial situation after giving her so much money. So she responded by saying, hey, where did you get the money from? And here's what he had to say. This right here is a bad translation, but what he's saying is Eiffel and Raiku, two of the biggest and most well-known loan companies in Japan. This meant that Takano had been taking out loans to send her money whenever she would ask, because she was asking so consistently and he didn't have a stable job. So what did she respond with? She says, I want you to borrow from another company different from Eiffel and Raiku because I need 50,000 yen right now. Arguing that she had loans to pay. So she saw that he was indebted to two different credit companies, and instead of saying, you know what, you should stop, she asks him to get indebted to a
put that
third
fucking
company.
gun gun in your
And this is
mouth
when
and
he
fucking
reveals
pull the
something even
trigger.
more
What the
disturbing.
fuck?
He says it's really tough. In fact,
Oh
soon
my
it will be revealed that I
God.
lied and borrowed it. So to get the loan, he had to fake his income and other
Jeez.
details about his
Oh,
employment.
don't do that.
And again, this was her chance to say, you know what? Let's lay off this.
Yeah,
I'll find
no,
someone else, or
don't
I'll
do
find another
that.
solution.
Jesus
No,
fuck.
she triples down and says, I looked into it, and it turns out that
I
if you have a
looked
job that
into-
qualifies
yeah,
you as
you're
a
gonna
self-employed
believe a
person, or you're
fucking
receiving the money
streamer?
in a
Don't do
tax-friendly
that.
way, you can still borrow the money even if you can't prove it, so it wouldn't be a lie. And then he specified very clearly,
Unless
I lied about my
that
annual
streamer
income and working
explicitly
hours. But
tells
the
you that
conversation
they
still
have
goes
a
on, and she keeps
degree
insisting, even if you don't have your personal
and
information
that they
registered as a
do, and
regular
that they're
employee, you can
currently
still pass the screening, and
practicing,
it's often impossible
or
to
is
confirm, so there's no way they'll
right.
find out if it's true or not. I went through because I couldn't
But
confirm
even
it.
then,
so I want to
it-
point out the fact
they
that she
still
was
have
an
to say a
expert at this, as if she's
disclaimer.
done this multiple times before. Even a financial advisor wouldn't know all this. So it does beg
Jesus
the question,
Christ,
was he
this
her
is-
only victim at this point? We
Yikes.
still don't know. He also states that he's been ignoring the credit companies and that he'll probably be getting a lump sum bill because he's been ignoring them. Also specifying that the billing address that he put was his parents' house. So his entire family
Ew,
was
what
implicated
the
at this point, but she just
fuck?
didn't care. He says, I'm getting scared of lying to borrow money now. And then she says, there's nothing I can do.
This is
I did it
asking
once.
for trouble.
And then Takano says, so whatever happens, happens. So at this point,
Jesus
yeah, you might be asking
Christ,
yourself many
what?
questions. Why is this guy
Whatever
doing this?
happens,
Well, look,
are
from
you
all the text
retarded,
messages that
dude?
leaked, he wasn't perverted. He never asked for any nudes or anything weird.
No,
It
this
seemed that he
is
just
this
really
is just a
liked watching her
depraved
streams.
human
She reached
being
out
who
to him for
fucked
help,
up
and he
real
just couldn't
hard.
say no. But even if he wanted to
Yeah,
say
he-
no,
he-
she
he
was
was
very good
basically
at
a
emotionally
yes man,
manipulating him,
right?
as evidenced by
all they
these
could do
messages.
was
Look at this. He tells her in the
affirm.
beginning of November 2022 that he had applied
All they could
to
do was
Raikou, right,
affirm.
the credit agency, to
Oh,
get more money to
God.
give to her. She replies with, yeah, with this emoji. Takano then says, I hope I can borrow it, with a cute emoji.
No,
15 minutes
dude,
later,
what the
does she
fuck?
reply with?
What
She
a
says, I
simp.
want to die if I can't borrow money.
Dude,
Takano says,
dude,
don't say
dude,
that. I
no.
replies with, I want to
This
do it.
is
So this
emotional
complete and
blackmailing,
utter emotional
100%.
manipulation.
Like, this is like
disgusting.
social
But obviously, it
engineering
gets worse. He
to the
falls asleep
core.
briefly for around more than an hour.
Like,
He says,
don't
I fell asleep,
do this.
Then says, I stay alive. Then she says, Takano, I can't live without you. Then he replies with, I'm happy. Me too, I can't live without you. And then Mogami finishes off the conversation by saying, thank you as always. I
Oh my
love you. Yeah. I don't think it's too crazy to
no, do
assume that
not
Takano might
do
have thought that
this.
she was into him, that she, I don't know, appreciated him as more than a friend.
No.
Maybe that's what he was hoping for, but he never really expressed that in text
Hey,
messages.
this is
He
why
was
some
just
people
always
on the
happy to
internet
help.
drive
But
a
then,
dangerous
Takano's
game.
fantasy was cut short when the creditors came knocking. He had
Yeah,
given
you're
her
gonna
over
get fucking
2.5
shanked when
million yen.
someone's gonna
and
pull
back
out-
then, that
so
was over
you're gonna hear this,
$20,000,
and then you're fucking
with
dead.
1 million yen out of those 2.5 million
Literally.
being from creditors.
Don't do
so around
that
the end of
shit.
January 2023, he started asking for his money back, at least gradually, not all of it at once, saying, hey, listen, tomorrow, please start to pay me back. I replies with, sorry, can it be 2 days instead? He says, well, okay, fine, just please, on the 2nd of February. Then on the 2nd of February, he says, please deposit. What's going on? You said on the 2nd, so I moved it to the 2nd. The next day, he says, please give me the money back. And on the 5th of February, he says, you're not going to pay me back anymore? Mogami then replies, this is a really bad translation. What she actually said was, no, I am going to give it back. And then Takano says, is that so? This is when she would pretty much ghost him. She would not reply to him anymore. 6 days later, Takano says, I'm barely making ends meet, so unless you transfer the money, I won't be able to pay anything in advance. Please transfer the money. A couple days later, I guess I won't get my money back. A few days later, are you willing to refund the money?
Nope.
Nothing. He was just talking to a brick wall. But of course, for him, it only got worse. Not only were the creditors after him, but he was witnessing her live stream and get a lot of money from live streams, while at the same time celebrating the fact that she had found a
she was
fiancé,
still
that she was
streaming-
about to
yeah.
get married, and that they both were living in a high-rise apartment together. Meaning
This
that
is
she
why
was financially
streamers
well
drive
off,
a
and yet
dangerous
he hadn't
game
seen a
sometimes.
single cent returned from her. Takano was very frustrated, understandably,
man.
and losing a lot of hope.
This is why
But,
this is why streamers get
interestingly enough, he sought
stalkers.
to resolve this legally.
Fuck yeah.
He had lent her money. He was in big financial trouble, but in 2023,
Or they get
he sued her in order to
swatted,
get
or
his
they get
money
a
back.
lot of
And
hate
in December of 2023, he actually
of
won
this kind
the
of
lawsuit.
shit right
The
here.
judge had ordered her to pay him back everything he's lent her, so 2.5 million yen, with an interest rate of 3% per
you
year from
fucking
December
slight
8th,
someone the
2023
wrong
until the
way?
payment
Oh,
is
man.
made.
And
So
you
the court fully
stream?
sided with Takano.
Oh,
he was
shit, man.
completely
They're
in the right, because at the time he had no
They're
stable
gonna be
income
hate
and was
watching
living
for a
in
while.
poverty. So obviously him winning that lawsuit was a relief. At least it seemed that way until he realized that it didn't really change much. Mogami would start to reference this lawsuit on stream sometimes in a passive-aggressive manner, saying things like, "I borrowed money and I'm going to court," or "The comments from a certain individual saying give me my money back were so awful that I blocked him using the block function." She would even say that all she had to do was pay back all the money to get rid of this lawsuit in a nonchalant tone, as if it wasn't a big deal. The reality of these two could not be more different. In the court records of this lawsuit, Takano had said, "I had feelings for her and wanted to help her if
What a dumb bitch. All you had to do was pay. See, this is why women are fucking shady as fuck. Well, I mean, it's not just women, but dudes are too. But don't fucking do this shit. It's not good. Don't be like a Andrew Tate or a fucking a Fresh and Fit, those fucking idiots. A Jack Doherty, right?
she was in trouble, and there she was nonchalantly saying, "Yeah, I guess I just have to pay it back." Additionally, since Takano watched her streams regularly,
who was that other guy? The alpha male guy, fucking Frank West or something? Is that his name? Gallagher? No, not Gallagher. He was on with the Fresh and Fit guys. I don't remember his name. But that guy got caught up in a lot of legal action because of all the shenanigans and whatnot. I forgot his name. They even did like an event and everything where he got called out. He was like harassing some dude on stage too.
Understood that she was making a lot of money through tips and donations. She had a platinum badge on FooWatch, which meant that she was one of the platform's top streamers. There are multiple ranks on this website, right? And typically when you get to the point where
what is this gotcha game shit? What the fuck is this?
Mogami was, you're making a monthly income of 300,000 to 400,000 yen in donations. And still, he was seeing nothing. Even though the court had ordered her to pay him back, he was not seeing a single cent. But obviously, the salt in the wound did not end here. She had a Twitter account that is private, so we don't know much about it. But some people found another Twitter account of hers that was fully
bona fide
about
catfisher,
poker,
basically.
with the first post she had posted on this account being her holding a bag full of chips worth 542,000 yen. So that could explain where a lot of Takano's money might have gone. So at this point, Takano felt completely...
Yeah, she's like going online, parading all that shit.
cornered. He had tried to help someone who he
you're
really
asking
liked,
for trouble.
getting indebted to two different companies,
especially
and
when
living
you
in
fucking
poverty.
scam
And even
someone.
though he had gone through the legal means of getting his money back, nothing had changed, and he was seeing the same woman who scammed him and played with his feelings continue to stream and thrive, making a lot of money monthly. Eventually, during the year of 2024, something had cracked in him, and in 2025, he made up his mind. He sent her one final message on March 7th, 2025, blaming himself for falling in love and being deceived, and asking her one last time, please give me my money back. I'm in the negative because of the consumer loans I borrowed to lend to you, and I can't live. Asking, can you somehow pay me back at least 10,000 yen, which is not even like $100? Adding that he'd been taking a lot of pills recently and had been sleeping all day because of how depressed he was. But of course, he was ignored. 4 days later, Mogami had gone live, streaming around the Shinjuku area. Takano
Uh-oh.
saw this,
Oh, yeah,
recognized
this
the
is
area,
what, yeah.
and decided to go pay her a visit. He took Oyama Station, which was the closest to him, and rode close to 2 hours down to
Holy
Shinjuku. She was initially streaming
moly.
around the Takanadobaba station, but then made her way down to the Shin Okubo station. So he took the metro and he followed her. This is a map that kind of tells you how it happened.
Holy
He started
moly,
here,
no
he went down
way.
here. She kept walking this way, and so then he followed her that way too. And that's where the incident took place. Eventually, he was able to make out where she was streaming from, so he made his way to her tripod setup, and that's where he struck.
Got her.
Multiple times, repeatedly, violently, with a blank look in his eyes. The knife he had
Yep.
used was 13 centimeters in length. He showed up with a backpack, and there were 2
13
other knives in
centimeters
there
in
as
length.
well. He had stabbed her over 30 times in the
Damn.
neck, in the
Oh,
chest,
yeah,
in the
it's
shoulder, and
probably about
initially
this
she was
big.
screaming help, but then went silent.
Maybe
And I
bigger,
mean, think about
like
that
a
for a
kitchen
second.
knife.
30 times, just doing the same motion over and over again. That's not normal, right? None of this is normal. This
Oh
is very
shit, she was
violent, and the
stripped.
fact that he
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. She was streaming when this shit happened.
He had a very blank stare, made it worse. In fact, he kept talking to her as she was laying on the ground. At that point, the screen was completely black. You could hear sirens in the background, and you could also hear him asking her, while she lay on the ground, "Are you dead yet?" while kicking her. To say that there was fear and confusion is an understatement. The entire
Yep.
place was swarmed with police and paramedics. And to add to the confusion, people didn't even know who was actually stabbed. This tweet right here, with almost 500,000 views, said that she was a voice actress and a live streamer, stabbed by
Yeah, the fact that you had some people doing that kind of shit was so weird. Like, why are you lying about the person who got? The fuck?
by an anti-fan while streaming on the Japanese site Whowatch. Mogami was not a voice actress, she was a live streamer, and that's because they were confusing her with a voice actress by the same name. This Mogami was being flooded with emails,
Yeah, this
DMs,
person
calls,
was the one
messages,
getting flooded
thinking that
for
it was
some
her
reason.
that was stabbed. Her
Yeah.
agency had to put out a statement saying, "Listen guys, first off, condolences to whoever just got killed, but please stop flooding my messages, it's not me." And as you can see, this was pretty damn significant, seeing that this post has over 30 million views. Now, when it comes to Japanese people, the reactions varied greatly. Very shortly after the stabbing incident, people made up a makeshift memorial. But you might have noticed the fact that many of these news outlets, their videos that they posted on YouTube, are heavily disliked. And that's because for some Japanese, they're siding way too much with the victim rather than the plight of the person who committed the crime. You can see this in the comments, with this one having over 2,400 likes saying, "There's no way you can borrow 2.5 million yen and just say, I don't know, block? I can't approve of murder,
Oh,
but I can
that's-
understand the feeling of murderous intent." This post on
Yeah,
Twitter
I mean,
echoes a
well,
different statement saying,
they're both
"Whatever
in
they
the
do
wrong,
to you,
right?
don't stab them to death." Reminding
what
people that
happens with,
Takano had kicked her when she was
like,
down after
crime.
the stabbing, so don't blame the victim. He's in the wrong here. There was a lot of discussion in the comments section of the article on Yahoo Japan
I
detailing
mean, she
the
didn't
incident.
deserve
The
to
most
fucking
upvoted
get
ones
got,
echoed
but
the
it's
fact
just
that
like,
yes, they do
Jesus
feel sorry
Christ.
that she had to be murdered, but at the same time,
Yeah.
they felt sorry for the perpetrator. So as you can see, this is a very complex situation. It's not black
Yes,
and white
she
at
did.
all.
Jesus
and in
Christ,
the end, I
man.
think it doesn't have to be. I think multiple things can be true at once. It's true that murder is too far. He is definitely
What's
wrong
wrong
for
with
that.
you?
But at
Did
the
you
same
get
time,
scammed by
it's not
someone
like she
you
was
were trying
innocent
to
either.
trying to
She
get it
manipulated
and
him
get in bed
hard,
with or
and she was
something?
really good at it, making many
Wait,
people
what
wonder
happened?
if she had
Let's
done it
fucking
before
go.
and if there are other victims. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't conclude this
So
without any
basically,
bloodshed.
this
Guys,
this
be safe
streamer
out there.
got
And if someone
got
asks you for money, know your limits, because if it's too good to be true, then it probably is.
because
okay?
she
Stay safe out there.
scammed
Thank you so
some
much for
dude on
watching,
the
and I'll
internet
see you in the
for
next
money.
video whenever that is. I love
And
you.
then
Mwah.
she kept getting a lot of donations as she kept working on her stream, and then she never paid back the money. And then the dude tried to actually do legal action, but nothing happened of it. Didn't get his money back. Is she Asian? Yeah, Japan. It happened in Japan. No! Why? What's wrong? It happened in Japanese. Justice for her? The fuck? Yeah, you're a fucking psycho. You're just like those Like those women that go after the serial killers. You just do it for the you just do it for the chicks.